Hello, Aries, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. I'm excited because it's starting to feel a little bit like spring. I know it's probably a little false hope that winter's over, but I feel like we're getting there. I have hope. So I hope you're feeling the same way. If you're done with winter, it's just been so cold. I'm so done with it. This will be your weekly reading for the week of March 1st through the 7th. And during that time, we have the waxing gibbous moon. And of course, that's a time of, just getting things done and where we're able to demonstrate that we can be flexible and make adjustments in the things that we're working on. We then move into the full moon energy. And of course, that's a time of heightened emotions. That'll be on the 3rd. A time when you might feel overwhelmed and anxious, snappy, irritable. You might have changes in your sleeping pattern. But it is a good practice time for us to, practice to release resentment and fears that we might have, or just to practice patience and calm. So know that that disruption comes on the 3rd. We then move into the waning gibbous energy. And of course, that's a time of self reflection and rebirth. Good time for us to make positive changes and work on getting rid of those bad habits and negative thinking. So please keep those moon energies in mind as we move through the week. This will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter, Aries. So, as always, please take what resonates today and leave what doesn't on the table for someone else. And your overall message for this reading is nothing is yet set in stone. Okay, let's see what the Aries Collective has going on. As I'm shuffling the tarot cards today, my fun weekly reminder for you this week is that you keep a spiritual journal. Sometimes we don't recognize the patterns that are evolving in our lives when it comes to the spiritual things that we're learning and just things that happen. Sometimes you just forget about them. It's a good thing to journal those things. This could be dreams or experiences or just things that you learn, maybe synchronicities that you're having, so that you can look back. It's really interesting to look back later and just see where we were. So I find that to be very helpful for me, and just to see how far I've come in certain areas or what I still need to be working on. So keep that in mind and see if you can't, make it a thing to start your spiritual journal. All right, let's get into this reading. Aries, March 1st through the 7th. Nothing is yet set in stone. Your present energy, a little bit of 4 of Swords here, some rest and meditation for you this week. So looks like you're starting off the week very calm, very restful. That's a good calm energy. It's a very stable energy. It's good to, think of where we've been. It's a good, where we're headed. Take those quiet moments. It's also a good time. Meditation is also just about emptying your mind. So if meditation is not something you practice, maybe it's a good time for you to give that a try this week. Your current situation, more swords here with the 6, and this is moving into the future with some calm waters. So it seems like, something might be changing for you. You're moving into the future. I mean, of course, your overall reading is that nothing is set in stone. And I find it very interesting to see these waters that are in this. Are these waters or mountains? I feel like that's water. I guess it could be both, but it looks like kind of turbulent water. Nothing is set in stone. Things are moving, but you're moving. Your energy is very, very calm. So maybe that's kind of, sometimes we're that calm in the center of the hurricane that's going on around us. Looks like you're doing just fine moving through that. At your root this week is the Death card. So something that you are done with, some kind of ending, some chapter is coming to a close for you. It's the end of something. So of course, what that always leaves that space for the beginning. Could this be actual death for someone near or around you? Of course, that's possible. That's typically not what the Death card means. The Death card is more about some sort of transformation. And again, moving from one thing to another, letting something go, crossing a threshold, being liberated for something. So, or from something. So keep that in mind and see if there's something, at the root that you're letting go of, a way of being, something that you've maybe been involved with and you're just not going to do it anymore, right? In your recent past here is the 5 of Swords. So this could be why you're letting something go. This is a card, fives are kind of our conflict area. And when it comes to swords, this is typically, a card of winning, but maybe through some underhanded tactics. I always see this too as a card because it's swords, it's air energy. So, When it's air energy, you're thinking about thoughts that you're having or words, communication. So, and I see this card always as maybe something needed to be communicated and things were said, feelings were hurt. That doesn't always mean that those things were false. Sometimes things just have to be said, they have to get out in the open. But that might be something, some sort of conflict here may have caused some sort of change or transformation or ending for you because you're coming out. That was in your recent past there. What's on your mind this week is the Knight of Wands. So this is you taking action on something that you feel very passionately about. And it could be, this moving forward, that you're going to move forward into the future in something that, let me adjust this camera a little bit for you there. See those cards? You're kind of making that decision to move forward, in something that you are very, very passionate about and you have very strong feelings about. So it could be that this conflict has driven this moving into this future with this feeling like again, you're letting something go and there's something you're very, very passionate about moving forward. Now this could be in any area. Also, I always like to say tarot is a template for energy. So this could be, if you would read this as a relationship that you are letting go of because of some conflict, you're going to move into the future, but you're very happy and passionate about it. That's a very quick read on that. This could be a job that there was just some disagreement. You're going to let that job go. You're going to move through and find a job that you are feeling very passionate about. So think about, things that are going on in your life and see how this templates over it. What is just ahead of you this week is the Seven of Wands here. So lots of wands and swords in this reading. And this card is about feeling like you against the world. So you're feeling kind of like the cheese that stands alone. Is it this conflict? And again, I'll use, let's say you're going to leave a job for whatever reason. You've had this conflict and you decide, I'm done. I'm going to move into this future. I'm going to do it's something I believe in. My whole heart is into it with this, not, that Knight of Wands, that card of action and passion. And you're kind of feeling like, well, I'm, the cheese that stands alone up here. Nobody down here agrees with what went on and what happened, and I don't care. I'm going to move forward anyway. So that's that kind of energy that you're moving towards this week, and that's okay. Sometimes you have to stand up and do the thing that is right for you. It may not make sense to everyone around you yet, and maybe in the future it will. And it could be that you're making that decision and it's not even the right decision. But sometimes we make the wrong decision and we do learn from it later. And I'm not advising, you have to do what's best for you at the time, and everybody knows what that thing might be. And sometimes we all look back and go, maybe I shouldn't have done thing. I should have done this other thing. So you're kind of the cheese that stands alone. Will it prove to be the right thing? It very well could be. In your advice position is the High Priestess. So to really trust your intuition, to really trust those synchronicities and those dreams that you're having and the things that you're feeling about this. There's if there's somebody whispering something in your ear, or you just kind of know your gut feeling. I'm right about this. I'm going to move forward. I'm going to do it. Everything else be damned. That could really be the case. So make sure that you are listening to your inner voice. And maybe this is why this card is here too. This rest and meditation is really to meditate and really think about things, think things through very, very thoroughly. Again, nothing is yet set in stone. So things could still be very much up in the air, but definitely use your intuition and think about it a little more this week than even usual. What is beyond your control this week is the Devil card. So while you're trying to, this is the hardest thing too. This is one of those conflicts. We all go through this, but this is what makes things really hard is when you're trying to trust your intuition and then you've got the devil in your ear, and the devil is very much about false truths, lack of confidence, different. So now the devil's in your ear and where you're like, I know exactly what I'm going to do this thing. And then the devil's like, really? Do you really know? Really? Is that really what you're going to do? Think it's going to work out for you? I don't think so. And it's those false things. So make sure that when you quiet your mind during this rest and meditation, that you can try to separate what is the real feeling, what is that real intuition, and how do you discern that from just the devil being in your ear and really loading your mind with negative thoughts and feelings, negativities, and kind of jabbing at your confidence, really. All right, what is your secret desire, or what are you trying to avoid? Secret desire is the Seven of Cups, that you have lots of choices. I mean, I would think in this situation that's exactly where you want to be, as lots of choices, because it looks like you're kind of moving towards that. You're kind of moving towards some choice point because you're letting something go. So I would imagine that is your secret desire, but maybe you're trying to avoid that. Maybe you don't want a lot of choices and you just want to be right in that narrow space and move to this one area that you know. So you need to ask yourself, this is your big question of the week. Is it my secret desire to have a lot of choice and that luxury of choice, or do I really just want to kind of be pigeonholed into the one choice that I want to make, right? And that could be different for different areas. So ask yourself that question. It could be an important one. While I'm here too, angel number 77, you might want to give that a look into to see if there's something that has any bearing on your situation, since you've got two sevens in this reading. So in your outcome position, Aries, the strength card. So I think everything's going to work out. And I think you're going to, whatever happens with these pros and cons, again, nothing is set in stone, but you are going to find out how strong you are. And hopefully the strength lies in, again, being able to discern what your intuition is and what that voice of the devil is. You know, are you strong enough to sit with yourself long enough, you know, in a quiet meditative state to really make that discernment? Because that seems like it's going to be a really, really important for you this week. All right, let's get a final message here from the Soul Oracle deck. Final message here for Aries for the first week of March and a full moon. Remember, we've got that energy that's going on too, which is heightened. You know, it's a lot of energy, you know. Your emotions might be really heightened. I mean, and hopefully if these things are, you know, happening on the full moon day, just keep that in mind. Keep that energy in mind, that it's not just your emotions that are heightened, but everybody's. All right, the card that really wants to come out here for you is to work with devotion. All right, and if that means, again, working with yourself, working on listening to yourself, you know, we're presented with things in our life so that we can work on ourselves. That's really just part of what it is. Actually, we're going to pull this card here. What is hidden from you this week? I forgot to do this. Oh, look, the World card, the card of perfect balance. So things aren't in balance this week, and that's hidden from you. This is also the end of the fool's journey. So this isn't going to completely wrap up. That to me is just another indicator. Of course, nothing is set in stone, but there's no indication that this wraps up this week. You are going to learn how strong you are. You are going to learn how to pull upon that inner strength, probably again in this situation. What do you need to do for self-care this week, Aries? Self-care as Aries goes through this little bit of a turbulent week, letting something go, having lots of choices. Yeah. Self-care for Aries on the first week of March. All right. The card that you get is the card called Needs. Do you need more time to yourself? A break from thinking too much? A kind encounter with a friend? Your needs matter and it's time to honor them. And you know, I don't see, I mean, there are some people, other people in this reading, but I will tell you what is missing is, well, first, Pentacles are just completely missing. Whatever this is, I don't think it's about material things. I think it is about communication and passion. And we have very few cups except for these choices. So, you know, do you need some time with a friend? Do you need to open up emotionally with someone, have someone to talk to about all of this stuff? It very well could be. Because there are other people around in this reading, but I do feel like this is kind of focused on your thoughts and your feelings. So if that's something you need to do, if you need to reach out and just hang out with a friend this week, maybe that's a good time to do that. So Aries, thank you so much for being here with me. I hope there was something in this reading that you can take away and use in your week, of course, in a positive way. If you're comfortable sharing, drop me a comment down below and let me know if anything resonated, or if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those. Also, if you like my reading style, hitting that like and subscribe button will help you find me next week, where you can come back and we can see if this energy continues or if there's something completely new here for you. So thanks so much, Aries. Good luck with this, and I will see you next week. Bye-bye.